I hope you liked my little mixing job there. Yes, Obsolete Optics back to lunchtime shows, at least for now. I am. What's up? Old as Dirt is here. I don't know. We're on Rockfin, Rumble, and on YouTube. Whoop. I don't know. I'm a little bit feeling a little funky today. Anyways, we're live on all those platforms, right? Max RJ. What happened is YouTube just squashed my shows, and this might be a it's kind of in the subject line today of the description line today of the show. The algorithm happened. Yeah, that's what happened. I'm sure there's other things too. I mean, like, some climate change people just cannot get with my non, I don't know what you want to call it. But I think that this is a kind of a smaller part of it. Smaller part of it is that people are offended that I don't just walk the Democratic line. Maybe some people are offended that I have hope. Back in the day, people were really offended that I had hope, that I would talk about solutions. They were like, no, never do that. We're all going to die, and that's the only way you have to, everybody just wants things to be exactly the way, perfect for them, the perfect little ecosystem for them on social media. If that's how you want to run your life, that's fine. I find that way of thinking very limiting and, kind of dull, honestly. But if that's what you want to do, all good. But mainly, Max, the main problem is that YouTube and it's almost it's like in some ways just really wild. But YouTube has decided that I'm just not gonna. They're not gonna let me look like I've got any. Exactly, Salt Lakers. If you don't offend people, you're wasting your life. That's why I think the my thoughts on that part aren't. Maybe some people are offended, but not really. Yes, like 3 or 4 years ago, Max RJ, every one of my videos was getting thousands of views. The beginning of COVID, remember I was doing a couple shows a day at the beginning of COVID, and we'd have 130 people watching the show, sometimes 150 people watching the show. And what happened was that YouTube decided Graham Elwood gets 25 years too. Yeah. What happened is that YouTube decided that they are just going to squash the ever living shit out of my channel. And that's what happened. That's really what is going down. And it's on Twitter, it's wild. Like, I swear to God, every time. Okay, so they won't let me get 700 followers on Twitter. Like they're just like, we will not let Black Bear News get 700 followers because, oh my God, people might think that they're actually somebody likes him, right? It is just the most hilarious thing. I am squashed on Twitter. I am just absolutely just people, because I see other people that follow this account that don't tweet or post as much as I do, that don't engage. I'm not saying like you're bad Twitter users. I'm just saying that people that are just casual, I guess that's what I mean, just like casual Twitter users are not like super you're not like worried about you're just posting what you're posting or whatever. Yeah. like kind of more casual-ish users of Twitter have more followers than me, they get likes and reposts and tweets, and people see their posts. Like, nobody sees my posts on Twitter because they hate me. They absolutely hate me. And they've decided, like, I've been at 695 followers for like 2 months, and I'll get to 699, and I'm like, are they going to give me 700? They're like, no, and they knock off a couple followers, and then I get like 698. No, I'm like, it's not anything that I'm doing. They just decided I hate you. So, yeah, exactly. That's what they wanted. They want to demoralize me. They want me to feel, I'm sure, I am absolutely positive that probably 20 or 30 more people are watching the show right now. They're showing me that 12 are watching. I don't believe you. I just don't effing believe you, YouTube. They tell me that my videos only get like a couple hundred views a day. I don't effing believe you, YouTube. They're committing fraud like all the time in real time. But whatever algorithm they've got on me, they just hate me. Yeah, obsolete. You see my posts. You're like the only one. You and like Steph C. You and Steph C are the only ones that like see my post, comment on. A few other people, the devil's therapist, once in a while, a few other people once in a while see and like my posts, but it's you too. There's 2 people. I have 700 followers. There's only 2 people that engage in any of my posts. It's insane. Anyways, whatever. I don't know what. It's frustrating, but I don't know what else to do about it. Maybe there's, I keep trying to like, yeah, well, lately I've been a month ago or so, I was trying to do this experiment where I was only going to talk about climate change. I wasn't going to talk about any other news, anything else. And so after a couple of days of just talking about climate change, all of a sudden my followers started going up on YouTube, just little by little. Here's a couple more. Here you go. Here's a couple more. And then as soon as I started opening my mouth and saying, talking about politics or anything else, they're just like, no, we're going to start taking followers away now. Bam, 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 bam. To make it look like people are annoyed or offended by what I'm saying. That's the effect they're trying to generate. YouTube, fuck you. How about that? Fuck you. Fuck you. Fuck you. How about that? YouTube, you fucking suck. You guys are pieces of shit. CIA, NSA, assholes. Your algorithms suck. You're committing fraud. I hope there's a lot of court case. I get a little pissed off once in a while. There's a lot of like judgments right now coming. There was a judgment against Google that owns YouTube recently about antitrust laws. There's been or about basically being a monopoly. And there's been other judgments coming out against corporations. So it would be really nice to see. It'd be interesting to see if they ever get some judgments on on social media platforms. Basically defrauding the people that use their platforms, right? By running algorithms against them, fake numbers, fake whatever. Once in a while, I got to air my. But YouTube they'll hear this, right? Because they have the spiders constantly crawling, the algorithms constantly, crawling on everything. Great. We're just talking about how YouTube is committing fraud, Teebs. Anyways, I've got much more thoughts on this. I'm probably going to write an article about it, but I'm gonna talk about is Threads that good? I just refuse to get on Threads because I don't want to be on another platform, and I don't want to. It's funny because now YouTube is telling me I have less viewers, but there are more viewers coming in. So liars liars, pants on fires. You guys are just liars, and you're bad at what you're doing. It's not. It's obvious what you're doing. You're terrible at it. You're trying to make me think something's happening when I know something else is happening. You know you're committing fraud, so just cut it out. you know you're committing fraud. I'm calling it out, and don't be mad. Just change. Just stop being fraudulent jerks. Anyways, I'm not into being on another platform, especially one that's owned by Facebook. Already Instagram and Facebook are like, I'm too annoyed by Instagram and Facebook. Is Threads that good? Do you guys like Threads? I don't know. I'm open to it, but I don't really like, I don't see how it can be better than Twitter in surveillance and algorithmically, cordoning off people. I sound like Hambone today. All right. I was thinking yesterday, I haven't had a good rant in a while. I remember when people used to, really be excited about me going off and ranting. Creative Experiment says, at least choose a different fake viewer number other than 25 every once in a while. Be less obvious. They're so obvious. And it's just, Facebook banned me off their feed. Gregory. Yeah, I just, I see the threads and I'm just like, no, no, I'm not doing it. I'm over it. Especially anything connected to Facebook, I'm over it. But I don't know if Threads is better than Twitter, maybe. I feel like Twitter is still king on some levels, even though they completely shut me down. Absolutely shut me down. I told you that the old Black Bear News account, the first one I started, the first Black Bear News account I started, they just wouldn't let me log in. They just like killed my account. One day they kicked me out. They logged me off and I could never log in again. And I was like, and they would never, I was like, reset my password and they would just never send me the email. And I tried, I don't know, 8 different ways to try and like figure out how to log in. And that I was just like, all right, I guess I'm going to start another account. But the account I have now on Twitter is like completely, absolutely squashed. Absolutely squashed. It's just like they just will not let anybody see anything that I do, hardly anything that I do. There's about 5 or 6 people that I get regular engagement from on Twitter. That's about it. All right. Obsolete Optics says I like Threads. It's just like Meta's version of X. When you join, you can automatically bring over your follows and followers from Instagram and or Facebook if you so choose. My feed is all lefties. Well, that's cool. I don't necessarily want an all lefty feed. That's just me. I like seeing what everybody is thinking, even if I don't agree with it. That's just me. All right. Let's get into it because the show is already getting long in the tooth. But thanks to everybody for being here. Thanks for showing up. Hemp Car is here. Stephen Colbert saying chemtrails will kill thousands. Old as Dirt says they aren't on the same frequency. I get what you mean. Geoengineer explains how they use sulfuric. It's David Keith. It's David Keith from Harvard. Sulfuric acid to modify the weather. I think I've seen this one. Do you guys want to watch this? Malcolm Young says, wouldn't surprise me that when WW3 comes, the social media party is over and we all will be in the fields or factories. The funny thing is that the way that Facebook, I mean, the way that I can't even keep them straight. The way that YouTube and Twitter treat me is spilled over onto all my other apps on some level, right? They all know it's the same dude. I have an app, doing totally different things, an account doing totally different things, but they squash those just the same. Not as harsh as they do Twitter and YouTube, but pretty harsh. None of my in real life friends, family, and neighbors are on Thread, so I don't have to worry about it. I post propaganda and memes on Main. Anyway, so everyone knows where I stand if they don't like it. Tough. Let's see. Let's watch this.
No, it rains down, but it's a tiny addition to what we're already doing.
Is there any possible way this could come back to bite us in the end?
It actually turns out to be an old idea. This was known since President Johnson.
You ever look at those planes up there? They have contrails behind them. Maybe all those planes are the contrails. Maybe they're actually spraying chemicals into the atmosphere right now, and Uncle Sam isn't telling us.
It seems extremely unlikely.
The fact that the United States is not telling something to its citizens, that seems extremely likely to me.
I mean, good point. Good point. And to as a counter, I guess, to what you're saying, obsolete optics that or Deebs, that you're not worried about what fascists and ecocidal maniacs think. I mean, I find that there are some things that people on the right think that I actually agree with. And that's why I follow or get right-wing stuff in my feed. Do I agree with everything they said? No. But you'd find a lot of right-wing people agreeing with exactly what Stephen Colbert said there. You think the government would never lie to us? Couldn't these trails we see already be contrails? I mean, that's something you would much more predominantly see on a right-wing channel or from people that are right. Do they, the whole thing about climate change is a hoax and it's all HARP, driven. Obviously, I don't agree with that. I think there are crossovers, and I think there are things I absolutely disagree with on the left, and I don't want to see it. Like, it absolutely offends me. A lot of like the left just blah blah propaganda crap. I don't want to see it, and I don't want to see the right wing propaganda crap either. But there are redeeming, viewpoints, and there's a lot of I actually, just like people who are unaffiliated, somewhere in the middle. They're open-minded, and but right in what we would deem an independent voter or an independent thinker, which actually mostly I feel like most of you are. Right. Anyways. And that's actually why I feel like I'm being so squashed. I feel like the people who are willing to entertain all arguments or both sides of the aisle or right, an unsiloed version of reality, those are the people that they don't want speaking, or they don't want a lot of people to come in contact with, because, oh my God, you believe in climate change, but yet you also believe in this, and what gives? Oh, maybe I can. Anyways. Well, there's a perfect point. 9/11, 9/11 being fake is something that most people would assign to a libertarian, right wing ish type of person, right? But we know it doesn't really matter. It doesn't matter what you know, what political slant you're on. Like, you can believe, you can see the evidence with your eyes and ears and face and brain. You know what I'm saying? Anyways. But indeed, chemtrails. Yeah. It's very damning. It's very damning. So yeah, they're trying to make it seem like, well, if you're a free thinker, if you don't cotton to just one side of the political narrative, you're unpopular, nobody wants to listen to you, you should stop talking. Nobody. Did you guys see the thing about anybody familiar with Last American Vagabond? Again, which is a perfect example of like what, they try to remain objective, even though, Last American Vagabond, obviously spew is almost a correct word. Spews like anti-climate change stuff. But, for the most part, everything else he really talks about, I'm completely down with, I just don't agree with him on the thing. And so I feel like there's a lot of valuable information there from that channel and from Ryan Christian, right? But I don't, his unobjectiveness around climate change, it bothers me, but I feel like more of the information I'm getting from there is correct. I don't know where I was going with that. I forgot. Anyways, let's look at this. We've been, this has been kind of a thing, this is what I was going to say. There is an account on Twitter called APAC Tracker. And APAC Tracker is able to find out how many algorithmic like strikes you have against you. Ryan Christian or Last American Vagabond has 60. Like, a lot of people have like 3 or 4. Some accounts have like maybe 2, 3, 4 of these like algorithmic like strikes against them. He has 60. That's how much they absolutely hate him, and yet he probably has more engagement than I do because he has a lot more followers. But like, I'm even probably more squashed. I would like to find out how they figured out that strike count, because I'd really like to see what Twitter has on me, because whatever they got on me is super impenetrable. Anyways, let's look at this. So I've been talking about how the animals are pissed and they're fighting back, and 2 men injured after being bitten by dolphin in Fukui Prefecture in Japan, bringing the total injuries to 12 this season. The dolphins are pissed. The dolphins are pissed. Salt Licker says they think you're a socialist with fascist tendencies. Yes, I don't know. Ding on the socialist, absolutely not ding on the fascist, but whatever. I don't know, I know you're joking. Anyways, there's a bunch of people on the beach going, "Oh my God, the dolphins are attacking! The dolphins are attacking! They're pissed." Um, all right. Yeah, but we've been seeing like an increase in orca attacks, whale attacks, elephant attacks. Dolphins are attacked. I just watched another video of like a scuba diver who was going down to swim with the dolphins, and the dolphin was absolutely like biting the ever living shit out of her. And I was like, well, okay. Well, another interesting thing to know about HARP is that now it's run by the University of Fairbanks. So in a sense, it's like it used to be a Navy facility, and now it's like a public-private partnership. So it's like something like that. Oh, this is a great video. Alligator attacks. Alligator knocks out a trapper after being taunted. This is a great video. The sound is kind of low on this, but you don't need the sound.
Down to Shark Valley?
No.
That's a great ride.
And there, it's a pathway through, part of the Everglades there. And there's gators everywhere, and they'll be on the road, and I literally have to get off the bike and walk around them.
Well, I'm doing a ride in November down there.
Yeah.
I did it 2 years ago.
I don't know what happened to the sound.
Ooh, he's coming back.
All right.
You can't really see it because the frame rate is so bad on StreamYard. I don't know if we're gonna really see it again. It's playing okay on Twitter, but it's just StreamYard is slowing it way down. Anyways, he was to recap, he was like slapping the alligator around, and he was like tapping it on its nose and like taunting it basically. And they got the alligator in the truck, and the alligator just like flipped its face back and just knocked this dude clean out. Sorry for your luck, pal. Give nature its due. Nature, and also definitely give. These guys need to meet the bear. Yeah. Be very respectful of nature and its power. And they had the gator wrapped up, yeah, really well, but like he still got that guy really good. And we're not respectful of nature, right? We still think we're in control. We think that we are in control. Right now, at this current moment, we think, we got this. We're in control. But soon, a lot is going to happen that's going to dispel that myth of supremacy. And we're going to be like, oh dang. Whoops. We're going to be doing a lot of whoops. Be biocentric, not anthropocentric. Exactly. Well, it's not that hot in here because I'm doing the show, it's the morning. But my computer is acting like it's hot. It's not that hot. It's not that hot. Humans now ingest 6 times more microplastics than in 1990. Did we read this one? Or is it just a variation on all the articles? Humans are ingesting and inhaling more microplastics than at any time in recorded history. Because human supremacy. I don't need it. A Cornell University study revealed the research shows microplastic consumption has risen 6-fold globally since 1990, with Asian, African, and American countries all experiencing increases. People in China and the United States are among those consuming record levels of tiny plastic particles through food, water, and air. These pervasive particles have been detected in human blood, lungs, and breast milk. Scientists warn that microplastics are altering cell behavior in internal organs. Jesus, leading to a condition they've dubbed plasticosis. Analyzing data from 109 countries, researchers found an uneven global distribution of microplastic intake. Southeast Asian countries suffer the highest rates, with some areas exceeding 50 times 1990 levels. Parts of the Middle East, North Africa, and Scandinavia also emerged as hotspots for high microplastic consumption. Indonesia tops global microplastic dietary intake at 15 grams per month, over a tablespoon of plastic ingested per capita per month. Malaysia at 12 grams per month. Vietnam and Philippines saw 11 grams per month. Researchers attribute high microplastic intake in Southeast Asian countries to seafood-rich diets. Marine life often mistakes plastic for food, which then accumulates in their bodies. As a result, fish and other sea creatures account for 70% of human exposure to microplastic particles. Be safe to say maybe stay away from the fish. Stay away from all the animals. I mean, I'm a vegetarian, or I originally became vegetarian for health reasons, but and it's still, I mean, I'm not a vegetarian for health reasons anymore, but definitely for, for many reasons. But if you don't want to ingest microplastic, I guess that's the health reason. I don't eat that much fish. I really try to stay away from it, but I definitely don't eat. I haven't had any beef, pork, chicken in, I don't know, I can't remember, 20 years, maybe 18 years. Anyways, it's probably better to stay away from the I don't know, try and stay away from things that are in unhealthy environments, which a lot of meat is grown in unhealthy environments, fish and meat. Yes, you can get the pasture raised and the farm raised and all that kind of good stuff, sure. If you know where your meat is coming from, that's probably the best, right? You might as well put a Barbie in the blender, Chris Foster. Yes. Max, you only eat vegetarian microplastics. Good for you. I'm sure there's microplastics in the veggies too, in the veg. Disparities persist beyond seafood and grain exposure. Grain exposure with industrializing countries bearing a greater burden. The researchers note that microplastic concentration in table salt in industrializing countries like Indonesia was around 100 times higher than in the U.S. And you know about the plastic rice in China, right? Plastic waste emitted to the ocean per capita. Good Lord. They're just throwing everything into the sea in Brazil, also in Algeria. But this is where the industrialized countries like to do a lot of their business in these red countries, right? They're like, oh, fewer regulations. You know, that's where we get all of our stuff. India, Bangladesh, Indonesia, China, right? We mine all of our lithium and minerals over here in the African countries. Brazil, definitely love Brazil, doing business with Brazil. Yeah, we do it because we can externalize all of that waste and all of that exploitation to these other countries. That's why we do it. All right, hopefully go through the rest of these posts. If you like the show coming to you for free 99 every single day, Monday through Friday, and you want to help support the show in a financial way, I'd say that's a great and a grand idea. And there are links in the description box, all the usuals, the PayPal, the Venmo, Cash App, the Zelles, the coffees, and stuff like that. And a lot of you support the show already, and you know who you are, and I appreciate you. Next, the Mediterranean just reached a new record high. Average sea surface temperature of 28.15 C. Next year, the region will double down on the aerosol termination shock when sulfur emissions from shipping reduce another 80% from May 1st, 2025. Mark pays attention. I can't read Mark's tweet, but getting hot in the Mediterranean. Everybody get on your yacht because it's getting hot. I mean, you know, enjoy the holidays. Do it while the getting is good. Excuse me. Let's see. Leon Simons, come on, people! Increasing emissions doesn't lead to net zero. We are increasing emissions. Here's a little COVID bump down. But then picking right back up and getting to it. Coal is up, oil is up. Holy shit, yes. Let's keep going. This is have you all seen this? Do you guys know what Waymo is? The Waymo cars, they're in operation, I think, in San Francisco and Phoenix, and I think so now they say they're coming soon to LA, but they're actually already, I see people riding in these Waymo cars. Waymo cars are driverless cars. Oh boy, here we're here. We're at the driverless car part of the historical timeline, right? And this is kind of a bigger it's kind of a bigger issue that I want to address, and I will in a better way. But like what is I was talking a little bit yesterday about the tech, where tech is taking us, but the way tech is going right now, it's also kind of choking itself out. It's choking itself out. Waymo cars, which are operational completely in San Francisco, right? These driverless cars get every morning at 4 a.m. They get stuck in a self-created traffic jam and they can't get out, which is friggin' hilarious. Imagine being woken up at 4 a.m. by cars honking at each other. That's what some San Francisco residents have been dealing with for weeks, as the Waymos can be heard in this video honking and blinking headlights in a parking lot outside of their condo. Anyways, they say this is the wave of the future. I guess I got to figure out this parking thing. James Vincent says current tech trends are resistant to satire precisely because they satirize themselves. A car park of empty cars honking at one another, nudging back and forth to drop off nobody, is a perfect image of tech serving its own prerogatives rather than humanity's. Oh yeah. So yeah, it's what I've been noticing is that, well, if you notice if you just take a kind of a macro look at tech and the internet and, all things digital driven, you find that from what I can see, they're less, right? Google isn't a search engine anymore. It's a hide engine. I use Google Maps and another app, direction apps, mostly for work, but sometimes for other things. And what I find is that they don't actually do the job they were intended for, right? Originally, these apps were supposed to tell you the shortest, quickest, least traveled way to your destination, right? The least amount of traffic, the least obstructions. And what I find is that like Google Maps or whatever app you're using sends you in the most circuitous, like traffic filled route. I'm like, what? Why would you do this? Why would you send me down clearly the apps are being like bought off to not serve the purpose, right? They're being bought off. Like the only answer I could find to why Google Maps would do this is that it increases traffic in certain areas, so thus driving up gas sales, right? Also, whenever all those those road work things that are being done where you whole lanes are cordoned off but nothing is happening, and you're like, why is this, what are they doing? They're just making traffic happen in order to drive, because if you're idling or you're sitting in traffic, you're burning more gas. Things are, it just drives up the sales of everything. So it's the only thing I can think of. Like it's leading to less efficiency, right? So you have, and also things that cater to capital, the capitalism, the bottom line of capitalism, things that cater to the corporate wants and desires actually lead to less efficiency, right? Because it's same with the medical industry, right? It's not about actually healing people or curing people, because they want you to be sick so that you can keep coming back and getting your stuff, right? They want reoccurring sales. So that you don't want efficiency in the medical industry. You want non-efficiency. You want things to make people sick and or barely help them so they can come back and keep getting treatment, right? That's what you want. And that's what capitalism produces, right? Less efficiency, not better efficiency in the end. That's what it's about, right? Cars are made, with obsolescence in mind these days. They're not made to last. They're not, right? The perfect example is an axle boot. They used to put axle boots on cars that would grease, kind of grease the axles for a long time, and they stopped making cars with axle boots on them. Why? Because they want the axles to wear out and you have to go buy another axle. Why would an axle that lasts for 30 years be any good to anybody? Well, it'd be good for the consumer, but not for the seller of the product. Right? So that's happening with tech. That's happening in the tech industry, is that, efficiency is actually going down for these apps and these products and the internet and any app you might be using on the internet, or any, site like Google or Twitter or anything. They don't want efficiency. They want, more sales. They want less efficiency. Anyways, that's all a bigger subject that I would like to talk about more in depth. But this is just a perfect example of, inefficiency. And also Tesla Cybertrucks, what I hear is that they're kind of shitty. They break down all the time. They don't do what they're supposed to do. Like, it's they're supposed to be the wave of the future and help people out and make everything efficient, but in the end it's going to be. And also what I was saying they were doing with roads, right? Now they're making roads less efficient. A street, sorry, a lot of crack smoking too. Streets in my city that used to be, just regular ass, 4-lane street, two going each way, two lanes going each way. People would just go, get on the street and go through. They're now starting to like narrow the streets down to 1 lane, and like make bike lanes. And even though nobody's really using the bike lanes, and like, right, cut lanes off and make things like, it's like, what's the end goal here, right? I mean, again, I prefer that we just get rid of cars altogether. I would like to see a lot of streets actually off limits to cars. But if you're going to have things like streets and have things like cars travel on the streets, like, don't you want it? Or they also take out the right turn lanes, right? You're supposed to be able to get over towards the curb, right? There's no parking there, so you can get over and get out of the way of traffic so you can make a right turn and not block the traffic. Now they're taking away, like building the sidewalk out to cover the right turn lanes, or like blocking it off. And it's like, it makes zero sense. You're making the roads less efficient. What's the point of this? Anyways. Well, Steph C, yes, I've already figured that out. I've already figured out that they're taking me, usually, 8 times out of 10, they're taking me in the most inefficient route possible. So I just go my own route. I'm just like, no, that's wrong. I'm going to go this way. Anyways. Speaking of inefficiency, and this is the kind of inefficiency I like to see. Protesters are blocking the 405 in Los Angeles to stop the genocide now. Same with the internet, right? They're the algorithm is censoring you in real time on YouTube, so you can't chat. What's the point of using the chat if you can't talk about what you want to talk about? What's the point of getting on social media? Social media is for people to, talk about things, express themselves, say what they want to say. But if they can't say what they want to say, what is the point? Eventually you're going to be bored of like, well, I get on here and I could only really share a recipe or like, oh, okay. Eventually you're going to make people just give up on social media. Like there are apps that I barely log on to because I'm like, I can't, say anything here that I really want to say. Everything I'm seeing is completely like dumbed down, or I'm just getting spammed with ads. Instagram, just spammed with ads. I don't want to get on the app anymore because it's like, it's just gross, right? You're just getting spammed with ads. You can't say what you want to say. You're getting shut down algorithmically. Like, how is that inviting to anybody? You're killing your own business model. YouTube. Anyways, protesters with If Not Now have blocked off the 405 freeway in West LA. They're all calling for elected Democrats ahead of the DNC to get a lasting ceasefire in Gaza, reject AIPAC money, and call for an arms embargo to Israel. There's a lot of misspellings in here, but I think maybe that's on purpose. This is great. This is awesome. They shut down the whole freeway. It's a huge freeway. Good for them. Good for them. Calling on the DNC, calling out the appropriate party, right? The one in charge. Hey guys, you want to stop with the genocide anytime soon? Yeah. Anyways. Here's one of those glimmers of hope. From some of these companies are starting to get these. I might have lost my appetite. Oh, that's terrible, Salt Lakers. Terrible. Also, I appreciate that. Coca-Cola has been hiding astronomical levels of profit in tax havens to shield it from the IRS. Well, this is just serving the IRS, but a judge found they now have to start paying back $16 billion in taxes, enough to wipe out a year and a half profits. It's time for every big corporate tax offender to pay up. But I appreciate large corporations getting slapped around monetarily. Donald Duck Trump. That's good too. Okay, last video I'm going to play. Boycotting works. This is a woman explaining that there is a large boycott movement in the Muslim world that is actually affecting corporate profits. Don't they realize democracy is at stake? I guess not. What are they doing? If we don't vote for Kamala, it's going to be Trump. What are they doing? Let's listen to this woman.
If you still think that boycotting is ineffective, this report by the Financial Times will make you think again. Boycotts in Muslim countries are hitting the revenues of multinationals and their franchise operators. The chief executive of Americana Restaurants, which operates brands across the Middle East and Kazakhstan, such as KFC, Pizza Hut, and Krispy Kreme, said, I quote, "This event is unprecedented. The length of this conflict is unprecedented. The intensity is unprecedented." Many brands attempted to cover the impact of such boycotts. So here are some updates that deserve the spotlight. Mondelez's Middle East sales growth dropped by 2% in the second quarter. L'Oreal's sales growth also dropped by 2% in the first quarter. Coca-Cola's Içecek, the bottle of Coca-Cola in Pakistan, said sales volumes in the country dropped almost a quarter year-on-year in the first 3 months of 2024. Side note, they claim that this wasn't linked to the war in Gaza, which is pretty ironic considering that thousands of activists in the country shut down a thoroughfare near the capital of Islamabad for a week, urging that the government ban all Israeli-linked products. But moving on, Starbucks' local operator in Malaysia, Berjaya Food, reported a second consecutive quarterly loss in May due to the boycotts, a loss of $6.7 million in 2024's first quarter, and a 48% drop in revenue. McDonald's said at half-year earnings that the war was still negatively impacting the business, but we all know that this is an understatement. Americana Restaurants said their second quarter profits dropped by 40% compared to the same period last year, despite opening 81 new restaurants in the first half of this year. This is all great news for the free people of the world, and bad news for genocide supporters.
That's a movement I can get behind. All right. Let's see if I have anybody to thank. Not at the moment. I don't think I just whacked my lip. Intel shutting their microchip factory in Israel due to the resistance. Nice. Great. I think it's great. I hope these people get hit where it hurts. And I imagine the Democrats are going to get hit where it hurts, you know. The problem with the Democrats, just real quick, is that they live in gaslight land, you know. And just it would be probably more helpful, you know, if you are a super hyped up Democrat, if you're totally down with the Democrats and you totally hate Trump, it would be good to like operate in reality, right? Or just get a good taste of reality of like where you really stand, you know, instead of just running with the propaganda line or like, oh yeah, we got this. Trump's on the run and stuff like that, you know, or yeah, we're totally, you know, everything's great. We're, you know, just lying, bald-faced lying to people just out of every corner of our mouth. And people totally believe us. Like we're totally going to win. Right. And so just don't set up people for that kind of like, just objectiveness is helpful in where you stand with, you know, where your political party's at or what they're actually doing as opposed to what they're saying, you know, what promises they've kept as opposed to, you know, bailed out on. Just try and be objective about it, you know. And sure, yeah, Jill Stein at the helm. I agree. I agree. Okay. All right, guys. Thanks so much for your eyes, your ears, and your conscience. I'll see you tomorrow. One more time at 11 a.m. Now it's the new time. And thank you all for the conversation. And until next time, peace.